Hi again! Thanks for joining me on my second Paint With Me tutorial. Today we're going to be painting Santorini Greece. And I'll be customizing my painting with little daisy flowers. Can you tell that I'm really into daisies right now? I also have been putting this postcard in with every sticker purchase. It's this one or another one that I have. I'm swapping them. I hope you enjoyed the video, so let's get started. For this painting, I will be basing it off of a photo I found on Pinterest, which is also going to be linked below. So I'm going to start off a light sketch, and all my supplies will be listed below in full detail, so check that out. And since my friend said I sounded like a less excited version of Bob Ross in the last video, I'm going to try to not put you to sleep in this one. But honestly, it's kind of flattering to be compared to this American icon. When I was a kid, I used to wake up to him on the weekends and then drift back to sleep because his voice was just so soothing. Next, I'll be using a wax resist or a masking fluid. You can skip this step if you like, but I'll be using it to mark out the moon and the stars so that when I paint the sky, those spots will be kept white. So I'm also sorry, I didn't realize that I took my camera out of focus until afterwards, but not all of the video will be like this. As we let that dry, I'm going to mix a gray color using my gouache paint. Also, all the colors I use will be listed on the left-hand corner below. Now, as you mix your paint, you're going to want to remember that the more opaque you want the paint, the more milky or creamy you want the paint consistency. And if you want it more transparent, you'll want to add a little bit more water. So I'm shading my cubiform houses with different shades of gray and also a light taupe. So I added a little tinge of brown to some of the grays. And this will help the landscape look like it has more depth. Yay, my roommate made me a smoothie. So it's dragon fruit, blueberries, and oat milk. I think we agreed that it didn't taste like much. But anyway, it's nice to have something to drink other than water, because while you're painting, you could accidentally drink your paint water instead. Now I'm going to use watercolor instead of gouache to paint the sky because it's more transparent. I mixed a blue with a little purple because I didn't want it to be so true blue. My first coat will be more watered down, then I'll add more blue pigment in certain areas, but I'll let it dry and then I'll add more color later. Now I'll mix the pink for the frontal houses. You're going to want to mix enough of this so that you don't have to mix this color again. I'm making mine a milky consistency. So I'm also going to mix half of it a little more white than the other half because I want two shades of pink to block in these interesting shapes. And on the railing of the staircase, I'm leaving some areas for the daisy flowers. You can ignore this step if you're not doing it, or you can be creative and do something else. Sorry for my unfocused camera again. I promise it'll get better. Anyways, I'm such a noob still, and I didn't realize I have to look and see if my camera's focused. But anyways, now continue to paint in the other buildings. I'm using a darker pink in some areas as shading, and then lighter pink on the rest. And as we paint, I'm going to read a short description of what we're painting off Google. Santorini is one of the Cyclades islands in the Aegean Sea. It was devastated by a volcanic eruption in the 16th century BC, forever shaping its rugged landscape. The whitewashed cubiform houses of two towns cling to the cliffs above an underwater caldera, which is a crater. They overlook the sea, small islands to the west, and beaches made up of black, red, and white lava petals. For the stairs, I'm going to water down a beige color. So I think for this beige color, I used a little pink, a lot of white, and a little bit of gray, but more water. And I'm going to add this in some other areas too. Now I'm using a gray on the stairs. And since the sky is dry, I'm adding a little bit more blue. Now I'm going to start filling in the domes. And I'll use a lighter blue on the doors. And using a yellow as the center of my daisies. I like to keep building up the sky, so now I add more color again. I'm going to focus more of the pigment near the edges of the buildings. And if you don't want harsh lines in your sky, you'll want to keep the sky area a little damp and dip your brush with pigment into those damp areas so that the blue spreads. Now I've mixed a darker pink with a little bit of dark gray, and I'll be shading in areas that I think needs it. Sometimes I change my mind, but gouache is great because you can build up the colors as long as you let it dry underneath and you're not digging your brush too much into the first layer. And with my gray color pencil, I will be adding windows and railings. I'll be adding a bit more to my dome roofs. And using more color pencils, I'll be adding details like this umbrella, plants and flowers, and you can get creative here. You can draw whatever plants you want. but I'm just gonna go in with my color pencil and define some of the edges, especially around my flowers. Now you can pick at it, you can shade it in, highlight certain areas, fix up the sky. And this painting took me over 3 hours, so relax and take your time. Now rub off the magical wax resist and we're done. Thanks for joining me for another painting. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you did, give me a thumbs up and help me improve by commenting. Also, subscribe if you want to see more.